All right, welcome back to Obscured Reality. We are back. We're going to start tonight, of course, with an update on 3i-Atlas rather than an episode on 3i-Atlas. And that is because about 5 minutes before coming on, I just heard an update that's interesting. And yet again, one more oddity we can throw in here. And I think this is a very interesting one. I don't know when this came out. I've been looking. I just heard about it now. So let's check this out. This update's quick. Then we'll get into the tonight's real story. So we may know NASA has a spacecraft orbiting Mars, and it's called MAVEN. I believe they have gotten some images of 3i-Atlas from MAVEN. I don't know necessarily that those have been released yet or not. However, it's been orbiting Mars since 2014. So it went behind Mars, as it does, right? Orbiting the planet. When it came around again, there was no more signal. Signal's gone. They don't know what the hell happened. The last data was from the passage of 3i-Atlas on October 2nd. Contact was then lost on December 6th. Telemetry indicated that MAVEN's systems were operating completely fine, normally. A fragment of tracking data recovered from December 6th suggests that MAVEN was rotating unexpectedly when it reemerged from behind Mars. So it sounds like when it reemerged, there was like a quick blip of data that came through. And it was suggestive that it may have rotated somehow unexpectedly. That rotation may point to an unplanned change in attitude or trajectory, which could explain the communication failure. For example, if its antenna wasn't pointing to Earth. So it's interesting because it totally coincides with 3i-Atlas. And this isn't something, I'm not going to say this isn't something that doesn't normally happen, but I will say this isn't something we typically hear about happening. So I would like to see some data, which I would have looked up had this not happened 5 minutes before we jumped on. I'd be kind of curious to find out, how often does this happen? You know, it just starts unexpectedly rotating. That's kind of odd. So it's not that alone is odd. It's that it coincides with 3i-Atlas right around its closest point, and a month and a half later, it's going behind and it comes back, and what the hell? So obviously, we're going to lose communication with it when it goes behind Mars. Now, what would be interesting also to find out, does any data suggest that it may have rotated or started to rotate prior to going behind Mars? I don't know. But it came around, data came through, suggestive it may have rotated. Just another oddity to throw in there with 3i-Atlas. I've heard some things in the last few days. I've not had time to look into them, but I've been hearing about new colors and shimmering whatever from Atlas.
Shimmering.
So that's 3i-Atlas update. We will obviously continue following it like all of you. And my guess is next week's show will again be another 3i-Atlas update because it doesn't seem to disappoint. But what is
at least
tonight's...
we have that one consistency in life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what is tonight's story? Well, we are still on UFOs. This is an older incident. We've mentioned it a couple times on here. This one's really interesting. There is proof that I believe, if I recall correctly, that this happen. This is a real thing, and possibly not the first time this has happened. But this again happened over Vandenburg Air Force Base. Anybody knows where that's at? Kind of up centralish coast on California. Um, few hours away from Southern California. This is where SpaceX is launching all their rockets from on the West Coast right now to put stuff up in space. Um, and this happened in 2003. You may know of it, referred to as the Red Square incident. So in 2003,
Mm-mm.
personnel at Vandenburg Air Force Base, which is one of the most strategically important military sites in the United States, it reported a UFO unlike anything seen before or since. Uh, it was not just a light, it was not a sphere, it was not a tic tac, it was a perfect red square, hovering, silent, and enormous. This is the incident that military witnesses still whisper about, the Red Square over Vandenberg. So, at the time, Vandenburg Air Force Base in California was a hub for missile testing, space launches, strategic radar operations, early missile warning systems. Hundreds of personnel worked overnight shifts, including security forces, radar operators, missile technicians. These were not casual observers, they were trained specialists.
Hmm.
Now, get back to that sentence in a second. People who identified aircraft and threats every single day. So when they described what they saw, they chose their words carefully. Now, let's pause and go right back into that.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe this incident has happened. I've seen a lot about this in the past. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there is data on there proving this happened. That could be reports, like officially submitted reports. I don't recall exactly, but what I don't like is these were not casual observers. These were trained specialists, people who identified aircraft and threats every single day. We've heard this before. Commander David Fravor, we're trained observers, trained observers. You're a trained pilot. As
Mm-hmm.
far as trained observer, you're trained to memorize and know what every freaking possible enemy fighter aircraft looks like so you can
Yeah.
identify them,
That's
even from
wild.
far away. But that doesn't mean you're trained in everything. And even if you are, you still make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point that out. I do not believe this is a mistake. You can't mistake an airplane for a red freaking square. But um, I love when that's thrown in, just because you're trained observer in what? Are you a trained observer in figuring out what unidentified aerial phenomena is, or are you identified in the latest and greatest aircraft of any adversary? That's what
Mm-hmm.
you're trained in. So the sighting, multiple witnesses, this is good, describe the same thing. A large luminous red square, perfectly geometric, moving slowly above or near restricted airspace. Key details from witnesses include uniform red glow, not flashing, not pulsing, sharp, defined 90-degree angles, no visible propulsion, silent movement, the estimated size, hundreds of feet across. The shape remains stable, not distorted by angle or motion. What unsettled observers wasn't just the shape, it was the behavior. And I gotta say, that rings true with what I saw by my home. It wasn't the shape. It wasn't that it was just a light. It was the behavior. So the object reportedly moved in a straight line glide, then shifted direction instantaneously without banking or rotation. It appeared to hover at times, defying aerodynamic expectations. So here again, we have direction, boom, boom,
Mm-hmm.
just instantly moving. Interesting. One witness described it as a red square that shouldn't exist. Well,
No
obviously.
shit.
Obviously. Security reaction. Unlike many UFO cases, this sighting occurred on one of the most surveilled and secure pieces of military land in the country. I'll tell you why. Okay. I've driven there to watch the SpaceX and try and get photos. And here's how Vandenburg is. This huge plot of land like this, but right down the middle, there's a public road that goes right to the beach. There's a train station on the beach.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, obviously the base, I'm sure, is secure, but, it's
I
not
mean, there's
like
a public road splitting it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
not like
like
it's NORAD or anything.
public has to go around it, but no, you go right through the middle. You still can't see shit. You can see where SpaceX launches. You can see the rocket on the pad, but
I feel like NORAD would
so
be more secure.
oh yeah. S- eh. So
The whole conversation you just had in
I had
three
something
grunts.
marked on here. But I was actually farther down than that. So I was like, whoa, let's not be too repetitious here. 3i-Atlas is taking care of that for us. So the personnel reported radio chatter immediately rising, security forces attempting visual confirmation, radar operators trying and failing to get a return. So numerous people saw it, and they were doing anything they could to find this thing, on their systems, and nope, nothing. Radar techs later said the object did not register despite being enormous and within range. The lack of detection and within range. How do you know? Because there's no different than the light I saw. Okay, you got a red square and by the way, unless this is a separate red square incident at Vandenburg than what I had originally heard years ago, this started out over the ocean. Now, it's a red square. It's nighttime. It's just the light. How do you know how far away it is?
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that. How do you know depth perception?
You have your initial perception of how far it may or may not be, simply because your brain is just immediately calculating data with what you're seeing. It's light. It's big, it's a square, whatever. So of course you're going to generalize that into, I think it was about this far away. I get that, but we can't say we couldn't get any returns even though it was within range. Well, how do you know? Now, maybe it was at one point of this occurrence, it was directly above the base. Then I would question that. But, if let's say the radar only goes 50 miles out, well, you don't know that this thing isn't 200 miles out.
Right.
It's all relative to whatever the hell this thing really is, So I'm not dismissing them. I'm just saying keep that in mind. You can't just say it was within range. It's just a freaking light at night. You don't know.
Yeah.
That lack of detection is one of the reasons many analysts believe the object was not conventional aircraft, American or otherwise. I mean, I don't know what gave that away besides it being a red square. But, who the fuck am I? A red square? Yeah, I don't think that's any normal aircraft we're privy to, clearly. So I'll just state that.
I love the fucking terribly obvious answers. But it needs to be said because
I will say this. I had ChatGPT write this for me. I know about the incident and it popped up again. So I'm like, okay. I put the stuff in there and said, you spit this out for me. So I don't know how much some of the little BS it's adding or not, but it's pulling from articles, news, all that stuff. So these are most likely exactly things that were stated, So, why the red square matters? This case stands out in modern UFO history for several reasons. Number one, extremely unusual geometry. Squares, well, hey, in case you didn't know, squares are
Squares are not
not,
natural.
no,
Nope.
squares are not aerodynamic.
No, that too. And also, it's very rare to find like square stuff in nature. Like it
Yeah, right.
90
You don't
degrees does not
find,
happen. It's not
yeah, you don't
aerodynamic
find
and it's
that.
not natural.
Yeah. So they're not aerodynamic. They do not match drones, aircraft, balloons, or plasma formations. Hold off on the plasma formations. I'm not so sure on that one. I'll tell you why. In 2003 predates modern drone swarms by many users. Okay, well you'd know if it was a drone swarm because you'd be separate points of light forming
Mm-hmm.
the square.
Mm-hmm.
Um, highly trained military witnesses. These were not random civilians. These were missile defense specialists and base security. Dadgummit. Because if it was a random civilian, you can't take their fucking word for
No,
anything.
absolutely
I mean,
not. No,
these guys aren't trained in red fucking squares in
um,
UFOs.
and you have
Come
to
on.
you have to go to the military to be trained on red
Yeah.
squares.
I
Duh.
I don't care who saw it. I want to hear about it and I'll make my own determination on the BS level of it. And
Right?
speaking of that, good segue, if you have an obscure story of your own, send us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line and let us know your story. We'll do a show on it. If you want to come on, you can come on and tell your own story. Would prefer that. We can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple for you to do. You just get the link from us and click it, and boom, you're in.
It's really
But
easy. That's what he has
yeah,
to do for me.
yeah, obscuredr1@gmail.com, and you can remain anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So, proximity to nuclear and strategic systems. Vandenburg has long been a hotspot for UFO reports due to its involvement with nuclear missile testing, space surveillance, and launch programs. This sighting fits a known pattern. UFOs appear near strategic defense assets, often behaving in ways that ignore or bypass detection systems. Yes, consistency across testimonies. I'm sorry. Ah, I had a yawn.
Wow,
Man, I
I'm
have
not the
gotten much
tired one
sleep.
tonight. It's a shock. I'm the one
There's
who's
a
always like, ah.
there's emotion and expressions on Stephanie's face tonight because she's not almost dead in bed. I want to go to bed. I'm a little tired.
Look.
I am a little tired right now. But sometimes I hide the yawns. Mm-hmm.
Mm,
You know how that
I,
goes, like.
mm-hmm,
uh,
mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, that always happens with UFOs. We have a history of sightings near strategic platforms,
Mm-hmm,
even overseas, even our own overseas.
mm-hmm.
Consistency across testimonies, independent witnesses use nearly identical descriptions, even years later. That's good. Classified silence. Unlike many UFO sightings, this one resulted in no official public report from the Air Force. I mean, surprised? Yeah, we're not.
No,
I'm not expecting the Air Force is going to say anything about anything because they never do. Even though there's
they don't know
proof
shit
they've been
about
involved in
fuck.
some things. Yeah, so the incident was only revealed through witness accounts shared years later. The witnesses come forward. The public did not hear about this incident until much later when a former military police officer, I've heard him, who served at Vandenburg finally spoke about it during a series of interviews. His comment that caught global attention: it wasn't craft we have, and it wasn't a shape we use. It was a red square, a massive one, and it was just there. Other former personnel have since quietly confirmed that something unusual happened that night. None have contradicted the story. Now, I want to pause again and just go off his quote here. Just the very first part. Man, I'm doing amazing tonight. I'm losing shit everywhere. Hang on, let me grab that. He said, "It wasn't craft we have, and it wasn't a shape we use." Again, I feel like most civilians are very aware of most of the craft we have and the shapes those craft are,
Mm-hmm.
not much less than someone in the military. So when things like that are said, it kind of hits me as well. Um, Obviously, it's not a shape you're used to. Obviously, it's not a craft you're used to. You don't know what it is. That doesn't mean it's not ours or some other country's. And I'm not claiming it is. Maybe it's something not earthly. We don't know. But you don't know that it's not a craft we don't use or a technology we don't use. You don't know that because you don't know what it is. And if they had
Yeah,
something that was doing that type of shit, you're not going to know till a decade or more later when
probably
they've
five
upgraded it.
decades. Yeah,
Well, it all depends on how long they're using it and
true.
if they're able to upgrade it to something way bigger and better. If other countries uh, figure it out and start doing their own and it comes out, then they might tell you. But
I
I
would love
mean,
to see a aerodynamic square.
square.
Yep,
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
love to see that.
I don't know what would be better, like a aerodynamic square or an aerodynamic like triangle or a rectangle.
Ooh, you know what would be really really good? You know, since we're talking about all these like aerodynamic shapes, I would also really like to see a flying pig. That would just round this whole
Yeah.
thing out for me because
If you just moved to Tornado Alley, it'll take care of that. And you can make a
that
red square out of cardboard and throw that up in the tornado, and there's your red
technically
square.
I do live in Tornado Alley. It's moved these past couple
Yeah.
of years, and I'm like,
Yeah.
great.
You know, you need to be near a tornado though, not just the alley. You got to move in the center of that bitch and
No,
just
thank you. I've
watch
been
them
through a
go
few
around.
tornadoes, and I'm so solid on that.
Yeah. Well, if you're in Tornado Alley and you see a red lighted
I
square
will
in the
let
sky at
you
night,
fucking know.
click your heels 3 times, girls,
There's no place like
because
home. There's no
you might
place like
not be in
home.
Kansas anymore. So, the red square versus known explanations. Investigators have tried to match the object with known phenomena. This is good. Well, not really, because you hear phenomena, and I think natural phenomena, right?
Yeah.
Like ball lightning, which is rare, or other things occurring from nature that are odd,
Mm-hmm.
and none of this is that. So, first known phenomena: flares, impossible, wrong shape, wrong behavior. I mean, you just say flares, and obviously it's clearly not that. Satellites
Right.
cannot appear as a hovering square. Well, that's not true. Um, Elon Musk satellites, Starlink, is just a whole straight line of dots just
Yep.
going. It's pretty cool to see. Well, if he decided to put those up there in a square pattern, guess what you would see? A fucking square going across the night sky. So, but I'm just saying. Obviously, it's not satellites. Drones.
Mm-hmm.
No drones of that size or capability in 2003. Balloons cannot move instantaneously or glow uniformly. Stealth aircraft, none are square, none emit a red glow. Optical illusions, multiple witnesses at multiple angles reported the same structure. No explanation fits the details. To this day, the red square at Vandenburg remains completely unexplained. Uh, Despite lack of official acknowledgement, the 2003 Vandenburg case is frequently referenced by former military personnel, UFO analysts, aerospace researchers, investigators mapping patterns of sightings around nuclear sites. It does stand as one of the most distinctively shaped UFO reports ever on U.S. military soil, a reminder that not all sightings fit the familiar silhouettes of discs, spheres, or triangles. And we could also say just lights. Sometimes they're sharper, stranger, more geometric. We don't need to read the rest of that. So to this day, it still remains an anomaly. Um, it was witnessed by trained professionals,
Trained
never
professionals.
publicly never publicly addressed by the government. So that's the Red Square incident. I'm sure you've heard of that. Now, one thing I was want to jump back to was plasma.
Yes,
Um,
please.
so we've mentioned this on here before as well. You'll probably remember, and I don't recall in regards to what I saw here.
Hmm.
I know I mentioned it then as well as other times. Um, there is a technology, a let's say an upgraded holographic technology, proven fact they're working on. I don't know if they're still working on or if they've already figured it out, perfected it, are using it or not. But there's this type of holographic technology they're trying to work on. And
Hmm.
what this is to do is to basically make a hologram in the fucking sky with nothing. So here's basically the idea. They're using some type of laser. It's something you don't see, but emitting a beam, right?
Hmm.
And I believe they use two that are separated. The purpose is shoot both beams in the sky, and obviously using computers and now AI, it'll fucking do it all perfectly, simply, and quickly and easily. Um, those wherever those two lasers intersect, keep in mind two lasers allows you to put it wherever you want just by adjusting those lasers, right? So you can make
Yeah.
it 10 miles away, you can make it 500 feet away. And basically, these beams intersect or whatever, and it does something. It fucks with the atmosphere, what's in that atmospheric space right there, and it manipulates all that. This creates this plasma effect, and essentially, they should be able to make a design. My guess would be you'd need multiple beams or lasers, whatever they're using to shoot
Okay.
out there
Yep.
to do a big design. But that they've been working on that for a while. I've heard about that years ago. I looked into it. It is a real goddamn thing that they're doing. Um, why do I mention that? Red Square. It's not natural,
No.
right? Um, so who's to say it wasn't something like that? Vandenburg would be a perfect place for something like that. The when I originally heard about this incident, this thing I believe had started out over the ocean and then came in over Vandenburg and then off inland somewhere. But I believe there's been multiple incidents as well, so this might be a completely different one at the same place.
Hmm.
But keep that in mind. They are working on a holographic technology that will create holograms, eh, kind of a hologram in the air, and you're not going to see anything but that hologram.
Right.
Whatever it is they're making, by manipulating what's in the atmosphere right there with these beams, whatever particular particulate they're using, they're shooting through there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interacting and making plasma, creating plasma, manipulating. I don't know what the fuck it's doing exactly,
Right.
but it's able to make a visible lighted thing. So,
Hey,
eh,
that
you know, if we're hearing about it in the last few years that they're working on that,
they've
I
already
think
completed it.
I think there's already a good chance they were working on it back in 2003. Maybe this was it because that's where you're going to test something like that is over military.
Hmm.
If it's especially if it's just a hologram, it's just a light. No one's in any fucking danger unless they send planes up, and then you could have an issue with multiple planes being in the same airspace. But I'm not saying it's this holographic technology. I'm just saying keep in mind they're working on some weird shit. Proven fact they're working on may have already completed. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. We've mentioned this before. I don't know if you
Mhm.
recall, but what do you think about this? It's very interesting. They reported it. There's reports on file. This wasn't a hoax or a joke. This happened.
I
What's your
mean,
thoughts?
I was like, dang, this might really just be that one instance because like Red Square, Red just like
What do you mean that one instance?
like it where I'm like, damn, that may really have been it. Like that might have been contact. Like I believe maybe 2% versus my normal 1%.
Yeah.
But like when you brought up the plasma, I was like, yeah, dude, we can literally split atoms and create new like
Mm-hmm.
elements, and literally we're trying to decipher the God particle in the Large Hadron Collider. Like, it, we could, it's yeah, easy to accept the
Yeah.
fact that it's like plasma and lasers and shit that I just don't understand. I mean, if we can be splitting atoms, that should be easy for us to figure
Mm-hmm.
out. So yeah, that brought me back down to my
So, well,
one
FYI, um,
percent.
this is from I was just pulling up this article. This is from eh, www.nsf.gov,
Okay.
National Science Foundation.gov.
Hmm.
Hologram experts, this is just a quick article. Hologram experts can now create real life images that move in the air. Um, Brigham Young University's holography research group has figured out how to create lightsabers, green for Yoda or red for Darth Vader. What the fuck? Um, they've also engineered equally small versions of the Starship Enterprise Klingon battle, blah blah. They can be seen with the naked eye. What you're seeing in the scenes we create is real. There's nothing computer generated about them, other than the lasers. This is not like the movie. Okay, so we're gonna figure out how to. Oh, and it is one laser.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, okay.
how to draw screenless, free floating objects in space, meaning in the air.
Mm.
They've figured out how to do that. Called optical trap displays. They're created by trapping a single particle in the air with a laser beam and moving that particle around, leaving behind a laser illuminated path that floats in midair like a 3D printer for light. So if they're drawing a picture with that one little particle, they're moving it around, they're capturing it with that laser and moving that thing
Yeah.
around. That laser's got to be going like right,
Right.
super
Right.
fast in order for you to see this image. I would assume. Next, they'll produce simple animations in thin air. Development paves the way for an immersive. Okay, so that's basically it.
Yeah.
So it's a true thing.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that Brigham Young thing, if that is related to the military stuff or not. If they figured that out and then kind of start working with the military, I don't know. But it's there. We have it. We can do it. Now 2003, who knows?
It might have
But
just it might have been the first like big test. You never
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Now back to you. I cut you off for that. You're talking about your thoughts on it. You're at 2% now.
Well, I was, and then you brought up the plasma, and now I'm back down to like.
Why were you? What
Because
in that made you say, "Oh, I'm jumping up the aliens"? A red square,
a red.
a red.
It was.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, Red Square. The fact that it is so different than any other like sighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just everything about it. Like, it's not aerodynamic. It's not natural. I mean, so because like literal 90 degrees is what archaeologists like look for to just to determine whether it's man-made or
Right.
natural. So that's what really led me to be like, oh, holy shit, 90 degrees, dude. Like, but
I don't
the whole
associate red squares with possibility of alien life, but
look,
I do get it. I mean,
it may not be alien life in the way that we would like to think of
Yeah, you
it,
never know.
but it is something that would not have been from this planet in any way, shape, or form.
Well, not true. Not naturally.
Not naturally
occurring.
not
Could
naturally
be from this planet. And keep in mind when you use the words anyone, alien doesn't just mean life not on this planet.
Right.
It's alien to us, not known.
Yeah.
So there could be this entire species, which is the line of thinking now, living in the ocean. Right? We don't know about it. Those are aliens. Okay. On that note, I was on the way home from work today listening to an interview. This was, unfortunately, it was Jeremy Corbell. and it was also George Knapp. Um,
Your two
it
favorite
depends.
people.
Well, I'm fine with George Knapp. Jeremy Corbell, I don't trust him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they were interviewing Representative Tim Burchett. Um, the oh god, I can't remember her name. There's Burleson, and then the female representative that's been big on this topic, trying to push and find answers, see what's
Mm-hmm.
really going on. Oh god, I wish I could remember her name. Um, anyways, they had the three of them on talking to them about, look, are you guys planning on doing more um,
Senate
congressional
earrings.
hearings?
Yeah.
Where you looking at going with this, and blah blah blah. And it was interesting. They were talking about this stuff. They're really, really pushing and trying to get somewhere with this, but they're just
Right.
continuously being blocked. And that's a huge problem. They're not really wanting to do more congressional hearings unless someone's actually bringing something tangible,
Yeah.
right?
I
Something
mean,
that's
I
like,
feel
this
that.
is, yeah, and let's put it out to the public.
Yeah.
Anyways, there was a point for me bringing that up, and I don't remember what the fuck it was, but it fit. Um, it didn't have to do with the red
No,
square necessarily,
yeah,
but
but no. So I just the fact that it is something that is not normally seen on our planet
yeah.
made me like, oh, a little bit. But
Oh,
then you brought up the whole laser plasma, and I was like, yeah, that's so very fucking valid.
yeah. I know I brought it up
Yep.
because when they were talking to them, one of them, I think it was either Timberchet or Burleson, they asked him a question. Obviously, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, they've been talking to these three. They've been helping them get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of this stuff done, set up, research and stuff. Um, so you know that they've discussed these things that they're going to talk about prior to the show, I'm sure. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just happenstance. They happen to ask this one question, and it turns out they have a pretty cool answer for it. They knew beforehand. No, I'm not saying it's a
Right.
bad thing. That's good. But they asked them about the possibility of some type of alien underwater base. Well, these representatives kept mentioning there's five like massively deep parts of the oceans
Mm-hmm.
around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, well, at least one of them was saying that they are convinced that there definitely is, and it's in one of the deepest ones, according to what he's been told and seen.
You
And keep in
know,
mind, they have been shown things that they cannot talk about, and they're doing everything they can to push to convince everyone else we need to tell the public about this stuff.
yeah.
We shouldn't be hiding it.
The Mariana Trench is
Yeah.
the deepest one in the
Yep.
world. Yep. And it is also in the largest ocean in the absolute middle of it.
Yeah.
But at the same
Isn't that
time,
where Bin Laden and one of the Transformers currently lie? Transformer from the movie,
I'm pretty
where
sure the
they dumped him
Transformer,
in the
yeah.
Marianas
Yeah,
Trench.
no, the Transformer, yeah. Couldn't tell you about Bin Laden, but definitely the Transformer. Uh, but yeah, no, actually, funny enough, the Mariana Trench is there's a chain of islands that
Hmm.
is like very very close to the trench, and you almost have to go over it to get to these islands. And I do find, now that you say that, I do find it very interesting that we hold control over this tiny little spit of
Do we?
uninhabited land. Yeah, we do.
Where is it?
Hang on.
I'm gonna look it
I,
up.
I totally was just watching a Yes Theory show about, shout out to y'all, loved y'all. I was just watching a Yes Theory show video about it.
Hmm.
I'm looking it up at the same time. Mm-hmm.
So it's the deepest part of the world's oceans, a crescent-shaped, blah blah blah. It's in the Western Pacific Ocean, where the Pacific Plate subducts under the Philippine Sea Plate,
Mm-hmm.
forming the Challenger Deep, Earth's deepest known point, over 35,000 feet down, deep enough to submerge Mount Everest. Blah 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 blah. Let me look it up on a map. I want to see exactly where it is. Give you guys an idea of
I want to say
mainland it's near.
Wasn't that
Guam.
one?
It's south west of Guam.
Yes.
Not
Here
too
it is.
far.
If
It's
you,
between Papua New Guinea and Guam,
yeah,
right
if
below Guam.
you go up from Guam, just past the Northern Mariana Islands, there is a very long chain of,
Yes,
yeah. So those are the
islands.
ones that they just got recently stranded on. If you want to watch the video, but
Who
they,
got stranded?
yes, theory, but these islands are so very close to the Mariana Trench, and like again, we have claim and control over every single one of them, even the uninhabited ones.
Are you 100% sure on that? I'm not doubting you. I don't
That's
know.
what they, yeah, that's what was said in the video, was that we like they let them like have their own government and like, you know, their own way of
Mm-hmm.
self-governing, but they are a technical US territory because they are part
Huh.
of like the territory of like with Guam. But yeah, I do find that very interesting that we would be interested in these tiny little uninhabited spits of land in the middle of absolutely nowhere. But now that you say that it's
Well,
close to the, now that it's close to the trench and that there's
it
that
makes 100
possibility,
percent sense why we would
yes,
want that because, um, I don't know. North Korea's right there.
North Korea is not that close. Jesus Lord. I mean, if we really want,
Yeah, it's actually very close.
I
That's a
mean,
perfect
we have
spot to
other,
be in the middle of the ocean, close to the land, and have this whole chain of islands that spans. I mean, what is that? 1,000 or more miles? It's got to be. I'm looking at it right now. They go up to right. I mean, that's got to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, maybe
Iwo
more.
Jima? Iwo Jima?
Well, looking at California, yeah, it's probably hundreds of miles, but that's a good spot if you have missile defense systems to hit
That's why we
something that's
have
coming from
Hawaii.
China or Russia from that direction.
The only
Maybe
reason
you
actually
can send a
technically we
few up
had
real
Guam,
quick to intercept from multiple directions.
technically we got it during World War II because we needed a fueling
So,
station. That's what a Bikini Atoll was for as well, was a refueling station
yeah,
for planes, and then it just became our testing site. But yeah,
yep.
technically it was a refueling site, but I do find it interesting that we still maintain control over
You know what?
uninhabited on, like, you can't, you,
It's
they're
probably because of
volcanic
China.
islands.
It's probably because of China and North Korea because
Yeah.
China's like right there
Dude,
to the
yeah, there's
west
still
of it.
actually an active battle between like Japan and China over some of like the furthest islands down the chain, like
Yeah.
even farther south in Okinawa, they're having like a battle over those islands
Well,
as to who actually owns them. It's like
yeah. I mean,
crazy.
I don't know these representatives. They're saying they at least one of them. Guam's right on the edge of it too.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like those
Literally
islands are
sitting
like
on the
right
edge.
there. That's what I'm saying. Like
Well, I know
that's
you're
really
saying. I
crazy.
heard you saying.
it's,
I was saying I'm looking
it's
at Guam's
fucking
literally like about to fall over the ass crack of the trench.
right.
But yeah, well, at least one of them, like I said, they all said they've already been shown things. They've seen some stuff that they're like, it needs to be out there. Let the public decide if you think it's a Chinese spy balloon or something. But and that just tells me like if they're saying something like that, like how convinced are you really that it's not some form of man-made technology? But either way, they're all pretty much convinced something's going on and something really odd, and that there is deep sea underwater bases at some of the deepest places. And I mean, hell, you look at the Marianas Trench, which is kind of interesting because it's when I hear trench, I'm thinking you're going in this crevice, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is like just boom, straight sheer drop off almost, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it's just like a multiple countries worth of deep, deep,
Yeah. It's
deep
like the
from the
world just
Marianas
split.
Trench. Yeah, it at least from here, it's more like a just the side of a cliff and just go
Mm-hmm.
straight down, you know.
It's so
So it's not
scary.
necessarily a crevice type canyon type trench, although that's what you're going to see in movies. But yeah, uh, I'd be curious to hear how many and what type of UFO stories are out of that area, if any. But yes, the deepest parts of the oceans, that the Southern California, there's a very deep part,
It's
fairly deep,
huge.
kind of like a trench between Catalina
Mm-hmm.
Island and California, and that's a widely known area for alleged UFO sightings
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
believability with some that there is possibly something underwater going on there as well. There have been lights recorded in the ocean underwater, from the surface, from airplanes. I've seen it from airplanes. I've seen video of this, and maybe there's an explanation, maybe there's not, but either way, there's weird stuff going on. So yeah, that's the Red Square from Vandenburg.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it's interesting as hell. I really believe that they saw what they said they saw.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now
Oh
it's just a
yeah.
matter of what really happened. Did something cause them to be a tiny bit delusional for a little bit of time? I mean, there's different things you can do that fucks with people's brains even
Uh,
unknowingly and just makes like weird things happen.
yep.
And
Certain like sound
the,
waves can mess with people.
yeah, and then it'd be like, well, how do you make them all see the same thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you never know. But there's technology that could do this. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
However, who knows if that technology was available at that point in time? But they could technically do this with these lasers, creating this holograph in the sky by fucking with the plasma, the little particles, and that's all they do. So a square would be easier than drawing the Starship Enterprise, like they said.
Mm-hmm.
Just be boop, 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 just keep going back, and you're good. So who knows? Not the first time I've heard the story. I've looked into it quite a bit before. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
do a bigger show on it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's the Red Square. What do you think? You want to go out to Guam and keep your eyes out for red squares in the sky? I
Sure.
think. Oh, why am I saying Guam? Because you had to bring up Mariana's French. Vandenburg. Vandenburg.
Mm. The
I don't
Guam was the
know.
part that you had me on.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'd do if I was standing out front of my house and looked up and saw this red square. I mean, I obviously I wouldn't flip out, but I don't know if I'd think about pulling out my phone to take video.
Yeah.
It some reason just never crosses the mind, and is what it is. But sinkholes in Turkey. Slight chance that maybe a show coming up. I'm not too sure.
Hey,
Tons and
Turkey.
tons of massive sinkholes. It's in the news again. It's been happening for a long time. However, um,
Hmm.
there's been a massive uptick in how many are forming each year now, and it's a lot. Um, and they're saying it's due to uh, severe drought in the
Oh, okay.
land.
Yeah, that
A
kind of
lot of
makes
it
sense.
having to do with farming as well, taking a lot of the
The
moisture out of the
groundwater,
ground with
yeah.
the drought. But then you see these holes
Yeah.
in the ground, and it's like, one of the things I heard that came up with it was, are we going to start finding some ancient civilizations now that used to be a long time ago? Because what's creating
Ooh.
the sinkhole? Is it really draining the ground of water? Is causing it to sink in? I mean, why isn't Egypt sunken? They don't exactly have water like we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I don't know. Plenty of places.
Because the sand is buried in Egypt. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm just saying, well, you get, if you have from thousands and thousands of years ago, a civilization that was around that had stuff built, well, that would all be covered up by now.
Yeah, every single
You
civilization has either like built upon itself or covered the
Yeah.
previous layer with earth.
Yeah, and my point being that as that has deteriorated over God knows how long, all you need is one little thing kind of sinking in,
Yeah.
like a rooftop or something, and now you're going to slowly form a sinkhole at some point.
Yeah.
Possibly, who knows. So that's the Red Square at Vandenburg. Don't hold your breath to ever see one, but it would be cool as shit. And
Yeah,
I'd
it would.
rather see that than the V shape from Phoenix Lights.
Totally agree. Totally fucking agree.
So, yep. Don't forget the email. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It
Comment
helps.
down below.
Shoot some comments down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see you next time. Peace out.